Hello and welcome to Safety Update with Sam, which of course is me. You do know that by now, right? You do. Really? Okay. Anyways, I always say this every week, but thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to watch this. In fact, I just had a talk with a employee here who shall remain nameless, and he said, does anybody actually really watch this? And I said, yeah, I've got proof that they do. He said, really? I said, yes. He said, are you sure? I said, yes, I have the proof that people are watching this. So thank you very much. And again, I value all your feedback. I've heard all the negative things. You know who you are. Hurts my feelings a little bit, but regardless, thank you. So moving on. As you know, winter's here, okay? It's not just, oh, that was a chilly weekend. No. The cold weather is here, okay? The temperatures are dropping. Even in the south. I just talked to someone in North Carolina today, said they woke up, it's 20 degrees out there. So anyways, it's here. So with that, now we got to take some precautions with the equipment. So one of the things that we need to make sure is that we have with the trucks is winter fronts or winter covers, or I'm sure there's 1,800 different names that go with them, but it's the covers that go on the grill of the truck, of the front of the truck there. We need to make sure that we have those on, especially when it gets below 30 degrees, roughly. That's kind of the number that is industry standard. 30 degrees, some go 20 degrees, but we're just gonna say 30 degrees, okay? So if you're headed into an area where you know it's gonna be cold and all that, you can stop by the parts desk downstairs in the shop, just right over there. You can't see this, but it's right over there. And swing by and they'll have them for you. So if you're gonna be running some cold weather states, which I think that means all of you, you're gonna wanna make sure you have that on there. Keeps the engine a little warmer, all that kind of good stuff. Also, I got two things here for you. So I got two bottles. Both are important, but both serve a different purpose, okay? So this one, diesel fuel supplement. This bottle, which again, you can get at the parts desk downstairs, this stuff will help your fuel from gelling, okay? So you wanna put this in before your fuel gels, okay? Now, you all probably have heard of Diesel 911. This is what you use after your fuel gels, okay? This will break that up. So now both of these are available at Love's, or you can get them here as well. But both of them are available at your truck stops out there. But I wanna make sure that you are paying close attention to which one you're putting in your truck. If your truck hasn't gelled yet, if the diesel hasn't gelled in there, you're gonna wanna use the diesel fuel supplement. However, if you're dealing with gel in your diesel fuel, that's when you want to reach for the Diesel 911, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. I'm sure you all know that, but again, I like to remind you guys of things just in case you were like, do I use Diesel 911 for that? Maybe, I don't know. I just told you when to use it. So make sure that you are using the right bottle. And again, this is downstairs. If you want some of this, you can stop by the parts desk and you can get some of this. Diesel 911, we probably won't give you any of this, but this is maybe how we'll treat your fuel if you bring it in there kind of all gelled up. But if your fuel is gelling, Diesel 911 is the way to go. The fuel supplement is to prevent the gelling, okay? Cool. Now, on to the dash cam footage of the week. All right, so this was obviously an older dash cam footage piece because green grass don't look like that right now. But anyways, this is what I think is a pretty common, at least I see it quite often, a pretty common dash cam footage incident as well. So we'll hit play here and we'll watch it. So we're just driving along on a 4-lane road and this car decides he's just gonna pull out and stop right in the middle there. So again, it's a pretty common thing that I see on quite a few dash cams. Cars just flat out don't see you guys. I don't understand. Don't ask me how they don't see you because I don't understand. But they don't, or they think that they can beat you or whatever. There's probably 1,500 different reasons why a car will do that. However, one of the things that I do want to point out in this particular dash cam footage is if we let it roll, we see the car. I'm gonna stop right there. We see the car ahead of us. The car is just flat out in our lane now, okay? It's taken up our entire lane of the truck. And I don't know exactly how far away we are from this, couple hundred yards or a couple hundred feet maybe, but the one thing I do want you to see is that it's a 45-mile-an-hour zone. We're doing 38 miles an hour with this car directly in our lane. And if we let it play a little bit more, we see that we actually are still accelerating in this lane, when this car is still in our lane. Right here, right where I've got this video paused, we should not be doing 42 miles an hour, okay? We should have been able to look back, way back here at maybe, this part where we see the car is actually in our lane. This is where we should be hitting our brakes, okay? I know that there's probably some times where you're just gonna assume that the car is gonna keep going and we don't have to slow down or anything like that. But as I have hopefully pointed out to you now I think this is my 10th video I've done, you can't assume that the cars are gonna do anything right. Is that a fair statement? So we might want to assume that the car is going to keep going because in all honesty, if you look at this, the car could very easily turn left. It looks like that left lane is open. He could turn left and just go right on in, but that would be assuming that the car or the driver is going to do something right, which they don't. And so consequently, he stops there and we are now, maybe 100 feet, maybe 150 feet away from that car, and we're doing almost 45 miles an hour. That is going to trigger a harsh brake, and it did, obviously, because that's how I saw this. But now we have to kind of slam on our brakes, get slowed down so that we can let that car go. The other piece with this, so why we have to make sure that we are watching to make sure that we're not having to do a harsh brake, is because I don't know in this particular instance if the trailer was loaded or unloaded. But if it was loaded in this instance, there's a really good chance that we could have a load shift. And maybe not even a complete load shift, but at least a pallet could break apart or something like that. We just had one recently where, in fact, we watched it last week or 2 weeks ago maybe, where the load actually damaged the front of our trailer. It shifted so much that it damaged the front of our trailer. So that's something that I want to avoid with doing something like this. So if we see a car pulling out into our lane, it's best to start slowing down well in advance of getting to that car, because even if you assume that the car could go, which the car clearly could go there, and in fact the car ends up kind of almost pulling out in front of a pickup truck there, just don't assume that the car is going to do it, okay? Assume that they're going to stop right in front of you and that you're going to have to step on your brakes. So in order to not do a harsh braking event, it's best that once we start seeing that car in our lane, we got to get off the throttle right there. We don't have to necessarily slam on the brakes back there, but we got to at least get off the throttle and start thinking this car is not going to keep going. So I just want you to be aware of that, because like I said, this is a pretty common dash cam episode, incident, whatever you want to call it, that I see fairly often, is cars just kind of pulling out in front of us and stopping for some reason. I don't know. Again, I don't know how they don't see you, but anyway. So just be aware of that. If you see a car pulling out in front of you, just assume that they are not going to do the right thing and that they're just going to literally stop right in front of you. So get that in the back of your mind, get off the throttle a little bit, apply some brake, and hopefully if the car doesn't move at all, you don't have to hit the brakes hard. You can just continue your stop, okay? Make sense? Cool. All right, well, thank you very much for watching this again. As always, I will have my contact information at the bottom here, so feel free to contact me with any questions, comments, concerns, deep, dark secrets, whatever. You can reach out to me. I'm all ears. So anyways, but we'll do this again next week. And until I talk to you then, make sure that you drive safe, okay?